Hello everyone, this is the Mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today as I take a deeper look into the most recent episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 5 or 6, Episode 1. I will not be doing a full episode recap as there are plenty of other content creators who do a great job covering the show. Instead, I'm going to focus on specific segments of the episode that I believe can be used as teachable moments for myself and the audience. So I'm going to start with Martell. Martell, I'm not going in any order, but I'll just speak about the cast members and I'll just, go back and forth. So Martell is discussing his situationship with Sheree, and he calls her his friend, and he says they have, fun together and things of that nature. So I think that's okay. I don't have an issue with Sheree. I think she's cool. I actually liked her personality the most from the Real Housewives of Atlanta cast. Yeah, she seems to be cool, a bit delusional when it comes to her finances, but I don't have an issue with her. I think that it is a bit weird for her to be dating him because his track record is basura, and he has an open, ongoing relationship with his baby's mother, who is unhinged. So as a woman of her age, I'm confused as to why she'd want to get involved with that kind of mess. But again, she could just be using it for his penis, and that's okay. So Martell talks about some prayer that Melody was supposed to be doing for him. And Martell said he's going to therapy and all this other stuff. Martell still wants to get back with Melody. He still wants to be with her. It is not about the health of the relationship at this point. It's about his ego. He's upset at the fact that Melody is the one who pulled the cards. She said, I'm out, right? When Martell thought he was winning, he was showing his entire bald ass. So when he thought that he had Arionne and Melody in the bag, he didn't care about how Melody felt because he felt like she wasn't going to go anywhere. So he could do what he wanted to do. He could disrespect her, have babies on her. It did not matter. She wasn't going anywhere. I am curious as to why he's not going to Dr. Francis. They showed him in the room, I guess, getting therapy with a woman, which is cool and everything. But what happened to Dr. Francis? Didn't Martell tell Dr. Francis that he would not do anything differently? I think that this is a ploy. The therapy is a ploy for him to, even though he needs therapy, but I think he's only doing it to convince Melly that he's changed and he wants to be a better man. But they were in couples therapy before this divorce. They were in couples therapy before the marriage, before the show even started. They were in couples therapy before Arionne got pregnant. So Martell's behavior did not change. The therapy did nothing but to make Martell feel like he was doing everything he could to save his marriage when he was not. So now that Melody has gone for good, Martell wants Melody to use her energy to get them back together. And this is why Melody does not really care about what Martell has to say, because she knows that Martell is using therapy to manipulate her the same way he used the show to manipulate her into reconciliation when he had no intention of leaving Arionne alone. So Melody knows Martell's game. It is very difficult to deal with a narcissist because a narcissist knows how to say and do exactly what you want them to do. But narcissists rarely do the right thing for the right reason. They usually do the right thing for the wrong reason. And I've talked about this before, right? You can do the right thing for the right reason, the right thing for the wrong reason, the wrong thing for the right reason, or the wrong thing for the wrong reason. Martell's doing the right thing for the wrong reason. The right thing is to go to therapy for himself, but the wrong reason is for reconciliation with Melody when she has expressed that she has no interest in being with him anymore because she realized that he was not going to change. You cannot have a whole side baby with someone and then go to therapy and say you don't know why she ain't cool with you anymore because she knows you're trying to manipulate her. She had a whole baby by you after you embarrassed her on television, right? And told her the countdown started 4 years ago when you met Arionne. And now that she's finally taken the hint and left you alone, you want to get her back. When she was begging for you to stop doing what you were doing, you did not care about her feelings at all. So now Melody is returning the same energy. And she knows that Martell has no intention of going to therapy for himself. He's only doing it to get back with her. That's what the whole prayer thing is about. He wants her to have an emotional connection with him again so that she can trust him. And Melody will never trust Martell again. I wouldn't be surprised if Melody had nightmares about Martell, about the betrayal. I would not be surprised. So, yeah, Martell's saying that, he and Sheree they're friends, they're kicking it, she's cute, whatever the case may be, while he's still smashing Arionne, while he's still trying to get back with Melody. This is the messiness that Melody does not want to go through. This is triangulation. So if Martell and Melody reconcile, he would still be talking to Sheree and Arionne. Martell would still be smashing Arionne if he reconciled with Melody. Martell was smashing Arionne before the show. He was smashing Arionne when Melody was pregnant with their 4th child. And he continues to smash her. I think that Arionne shared a picture of herself in Martell's bed recently. And I'm like, that's not really a flex. He's not even claiming you on TV. He's on the phone with somebody totally different, doing the same thing to her not really the same thing, because Sheree is too smart for that. And she's too seasoned to fall for the same mind games that Martell plays with Arionne. She's too grown for that. Whatever. Use him for his penis and his bald head and some photo ops. And that's it. So that's fine. But yeah, Melody knows that Martell wants to use her energy to get them back together, because Melody is the only one who can make this work at this point. And Melody's like, no. Melody said in season 2 or 3, she said, I did everything that I was supposed to do. I went above and beyond. I had a baby by this man, even after his mistress disrespected on social media, giving interviews, calling me stupid, dropping down about what he's talking to her about me, the negative things he was saying about me, lying on me, calling me a bad mother, a bad wife, all this other stuff. So now he wants her to pray for them while he's seeing Sheree and still smashing Arionne. Just a messy, messy, messy person. Now on to Courtney and her husband. Now on to Stormy and her husband, Courtney. Their baby is gorgeous. I love little babies. They had a little bit of a rift or disagreement about Stormy having more children. Stormy wants more babies, whether it's by surrogate or naturally, and her husband's like, no. I think Stormy's mother was correct, because I was thinking the same thing. I think her husband was traumatized by the idea of losing his wife. A lot of men don't like sharing their wives with their children. I'm sorry. It sounds crazy to say. But a lot of men start to get jealous and insecure. And I think Martell went through the same thing. They start to get jealous and insecure when their wives have babies, because now all my energy and attention is on the child and not with your bloated head ass. So I do think that Courtney has valid concerns about having another child, especially if it's naturally. But Stormy said that she didn't want to have another child as far as like naturally before, because of the stress of the labor and, the subsequent health issues that came after that. So I think that they should reach a happy medium. I don't want Stormy to resent her husband for not having another baby. Some mothers want to have children, like multiple children, so they can have siblings. But I think Courtney is like, nah, I don't want to deal with the trauma of that again, of potentially losing my wife, right? Men deal with trauma differently. Now, I'm not saying that he was right in the way he handled it. He should have been more open to conversation with Stormy when she spoke to him about it. But I do think that he was triggered by that because of what he went through before. A lot of men don't like feeling helpless. And so, when he saw his wife almost lose her life for their child, he thought about himself as a single father, a widow. And that's a very difficult thing for men to think about. So I understand his frustration and his insecurity and his fear about that. But I think they should be open to adoption or surrogacy, because I do think Stormy wants a sibling for her son. And I think, children who have siblings, they're not as lonely or alone as only children. Like Melody is her mother's only child, but her father had children with another woman, or he was married before. So Melody has half siblings, and those half siblings have been a lifesaver for her during her divorce, right? Marcus has been really, really helpful to her when dealing with Martell. So I think there's a benefit to having multiple siblings if you can afford it. If you don't want that, then that's okay. But yeah, I think Courtney should be a bit more sensitive to Stormy's feelings when it comes to that. But Stormy should also understand where he's coming from too. I wonder if they went to therapy or counseling to deal with the trauma of that experience of like potentially losing your partner. That probably scared the shit out of him, you know? So yeah, he probably doesn't want to do that again. Okay, now on to Kimmy and Maurice. So Kimmy talked about wanting to celebrate not having any more cancer in her body. She was at the end of the chemo treatment, so there was no more lumps. They couldn't find any more cancer, and I'm so happy for her that this first phase or this first hurdle has been successfully overcome. I do think that Maurice is still traumatized, just like Courtney. Men deal with trauma differently. They don't like to be in situations where they have no control, and they tend to hold on to that experience longer than women think. Women think that men get over things quickly because they may stick their penis in somebody else a week after they break up with you. No. Martell is still longing for and pining after Melody years after the divorce. And Derek Jackson, who was a prolific cheater, said the same thing. He was like, men don't process their feelings in the same time frame women do. Women can go through an entire experience of grief and betrayal and sadness and all this other stuff, and by the time the woman leaves, she's already gone. She's gone through all the emotions that Melody went through when she found out Martell was cheating. She went through the grief and the depression and blaming herself and trying to prove herself worthy of him, competing with Melody. Competing with Arionne. At some point, Melody accepted Martell for who he was, and she accepted the fate of her marriage, which was that it should not continue anymore. The last stage of grief is what? Acceptance. So women go through the 5 stages of grief while they're still in the relationship. Men don't go through the 5 stages of grief until after the relationship is over. So, you know, Melody went through the denial, the anger, the bargaining, depression, and then acceptance when she was married to Martell. And then now, years later, Martell is going through the same thing. Denial, anger, bargaining. You need to pray with me. Let's pray together. I'll go to counseling now. Depression and acceptance. He hasn't gone to acceptance yet. So I think that it's going to take Martell about 5 years to accept that this marriage is over, because he spent 5 years cheating with Melody. Okay. Anyway, so yeah. With Maurice, I think that he's afraid of letting his guard down because his cancer diagnosis was so unexpected and so left field. Men don't like, and women don't either, but men don't like they don't like nasty surprises. They don't like to be caught off guard like this. And so he's kind of like put on his warrior mask, like we're going to fight through this together. And he's afraid of celebrating the small victories because he doesn't want to be disappointed again. And so I can understand his trepidation and his hesitancy about having or celebrating too soon, because he does not want to get his hopes up in case he has to buckle down again and go through that like dark, fearful, unknowing phase that he went through last season when he was crying to his brother Marcel. So Kimmy asks Melody, or Melody volunteers to throw this party for Kimmy, and Melody and Kimmy's relationship has somewhat grown since her diagnosis. Melody may be keeping in contact with Kimmy off camera, like when the show wasn't filming, because of her diagnosis. So they've grown, and Melody respects the fact, or she appreciates the fact that Kimmy respects her boundaries. I'm going to talk about that later too, because people are forgetting something about Melody that I talked about extensively on this channel. So for the sake of the show, Melody volunteered to throw this party for Kimmy, and Kimmy said she wanted to invite everybody. I think Kimmy's an Aquarius, and a lot of Aquariuses, they love friendships. They love social engagements and activities. I have lots of Aquariuses in my family. My grandma was an Aquarius. Aunties are Aquariuses. Sisters are an Aquarius. Like, I know the signature. They love people. They love being around people. So that is healing for her. I think that was a good idea to have a party. Even though, you know, Maurice was a bit concerned about that. But I think it was great for them to have a party for her. And, you know, Melody was calling the castmates on the phone, and they all was like, who's this? They weren't happy to hear from her because Melody does not keep in contact with the cast members after filming has wrapped up. Now, I'm going to go back to Stormy and her mother. So Stormy's mother has a chip on her shoulder about Melody. And Stormy's mother apparently said something to the effect of like, Melody creates false narratives to justify having an issue with people. And I think that Stormy's mother is doing whatever she's accusing Melody of. And we call this projection, right? So I'm going to accuse you of something that I'm actively doing to justify having an issue with you, even though you've done nothing to me and said nothing to me. So basically she said she didn't like Melody's energy, which is fine. That's her prerogative. But Melody did nothing to her to feel that way. It was just a vibe, right? A vibe. So based on the vibe that Stormy's mother has, she has an issue with Melody, and she's allowing that issue to create a wedge between Stormy and Melody. So like Miss Wanda, Stormy's mother is unapologetically defensive of her daughter to the extent that she has no problem instigating beef or rifts between her friends or so-called friends or co-workers. She makes things worse than what they have to be because of her issue with Melody that has nothing to do with anything Melody said or did to her. It's just a vibe that she got, a feeling, right? And so old school black people, for the most part, they go by feelings. I do too. But again, Melody did nothing to Stormy to warrant this type of animosity towards Stormy. I will say this though. Stormy is in the hair care business and Melody was in the skincare business, and I think she recently released some hair care products. I think Stormy feels some kind of way about that. I think she feels some kind of way about Melody getting into the hair care space because that's what she was doing, and Melody was doing skincare, which wasn't a problem. But now we're going for the same demographic, right? And so to be honest, I think this is an issue that has to be addressed. But that should be addressed if Melody wants to maintain her friendship with Stormy. I'm not saying that Stormy is accusing Melody of anything. I'm not saying Melody is trying to steal Stormy's business ideas. I'm not saying that at all. But for Stormy as a businesswoman, if you have a friend who is doing the same type of business you're doing, you would feel some kind of way. You would. I think that's what is the elephant in the room that people aren't talking about. I don't know if Stormy knew about Melody's hair care line at the time of this particular taping or filming, but yeah, most people would have an issue with that. And so when you're dealing with people who are ambitious and competitive, you're going to butt heads. That's just what it is. So that has to be addressed, in my opinion, if they want to be back on solid ground. So yeah, but Stormy's mother reminds me of Miss Wanda, somebody who's older, contentious, combative, and wants to have an issue with people because she's nosy and bored with her life. She's not here to mediate or to make peace. She's here to take sides and make a young person who's her daughter's age her enemy. Why are you 95 years old fighting your daughter's battles for her? Stormy can handle herself very well. Stormy's mother just wants to be in the mix because some people like to fight and like to have an issue. Some people like to have a problem. So Melody has no problem with Stormy's mom at this point. She doesn't even know who she is. She's pretty much not irrelevant, but yeah, it is what it is. But Stormy's mother has an issue with Melody for whatever reason, and we may find out later on. But yeah, it sounds like Stormy's mother is going to replace Miss Wanda for the messy, elder, bitter, older woman this season. Okay? So, in the final scene, Melody puts together this party. I'm happy that they got that resolved in one episode, because sometimes they stretch out the event planning episodes for like 2-3 episodes. It wasn't necessary. So, they all came together to celebrate Kimmy's recovery, her healing, this process that she's going through. I was so happy to see them all together. Martell, of course, tries to make the event about him seeing Melody and him reconciling. He's trying to hold her to a prayer when he couldn't even hold himself to the vows that he made to her during their marriage, right? So you're going to pray for us. Even though I wasn't praying when I was in Arionne's bed, making babies with her, I'm going to hold you to a prayer because it's your responsibility to make sure that we can co-parent healthily. It's your responsibility, Melody. Forget the fact that I lied on you, stalked you, tried to make you look bad, tried to shit on you, tried to call you a whore or a bad mother. Forget all that. It's your responsibility, Melody, to make sure that you pray for us so we can co-parent together. I'm doing my part by going to therapy. Now you do your part by trusting me again and allow me back in your life while I'm fucking with 2 other women. That's Martell. So then Stormy pulls Melody to the side, and I'm glad she did. Stormy addresses the elephant in the room like, yo, we haven't spoken in 4 months, right? So what's going on? What happened? then Melody was like, oh yeah, my number changed. And Stormy was like, I didn't know that. I texted you and you didn't respond. And then Melody said, well, you could have DM'd me. And Stormy said, I'm not doing that. I'm not DMing you like I'm a fan. If we're friends and you change your number and you wanted to remain in contact with me, why would I be DMing you for anything? Why? That makes no sense. And so there was some sort of tension between them because Stormy felt like Melody was being fake. Now, I don't know how frequently Melody communicated before she got on the show. I don't know how frequent that was, right? A few days ago, I said that frequency could be every birthday, every month, once a month, every Christmas, every holiday. I have no idea about the dynamics of their relationship before this whole thing happened. But Stormy seemed upset. And I'm going to say this. I said this before. This is how I started my channel, right? The first thing I said about Melody was that she, in my opinion, has post-traumatic stress disorder. And I think what's happened is over the past several years, when Melody has glowed up and leveled up financially, she's doing her own thing. Her social media platform is popping. She's now successful and doing her own thing as a single mother, divorcee of 4 children. What Melody has done as a disservice to herself is not be honest about the lingering trauma that she's endured since dealing with Martell. I want you guys to think about it this way. Okay, so Melody was married to Martell for 10 plus years. Imagine the person that you trust the most in the world, the person who you've made plans with. You have shared plans with, shared goals, shared ideals, children, businesses, a whole life mapped out. Imagine finding out that this person has been having an affair behind your back for 2 years. So everything was a lie. Your entire life is just destroyed in a moment. Melody does not trust anyone anymore. She has not healed enough yet, which is understandable because when you deal with narcissists, it takes a long time to heal. Melody, in my opinion, has not yet fully healed from the trauma of being with Martell, of being married to him and being betrayed by him and being played and used by him. So Martell talked about the fact that he and Melody were once family. Imagine sleeping with your enemy for years. Sleeping with a man who is having an affair with a woman who hates you. He's getting this woman pregnant. He's talking shit about you. He's manipulating you. He's playing you. And this is the person who you said you want to share your life with. This is the person who you would die for, who you had children with, who you planned your whole life with. Melody lost faith and trust in people because Martell's decisions and his actions and his thought process destroyed her life. It wasn't by her own doing that Melody's marriage ended. It wasn't by her own doing that Melody lost her businesses. It wasn't by her own doing that her husband had gotten his mistress pregnant 3 months after she had their 4th baby, after he begged for her to reconcile with him. That was not her doing. She had no control over that situation. And so Melody learned the hard way that she cannot trust people. And so when you can't trust people, you end up isolating yourself from people. It's a very painful experience to live through. So what's happening, in my opinion, I'm not a therapist or a counselor or whatever the case may be. I'm speaking from experience and observation here, okay? I believe that Melody has erected really hard, strong, thick boundaries around herself because she doesn't trust anybody anymore. She does not trust anyone anymore. It's not to say she has animosity towards Stormy or anybody else. It's just that for most people, dealing with the kind of trauma that Martell inflicted on her will cause some sort of psychotic break or some sort of mental breakdown, right? Because the person who you are in love with, who you've made babies with, who you're sleeping with, is your enemy. That's horrifying for most people. For Scorpio, though, because Melody has Sun, Moon, Venus, South Node, all these planets in Scorpio. That's the worst nightmare. That is your worst nightmare, to be sleeping with your enemy, because now you have no control. Scorpios hate losing control. They do. That's their thing, right? Pluto is about control, and so is Mars. But imagine you giving your control to somebody else, or you giving your power to somebody else, like Martell. Melody gave her power to Martell, and Martell took her power and used it to stab her in the heart over and over again. He forced her to break her vows and leave her marriage, and to pretty much destroy the life that she had created for herself. Melody had a whole plan for her life. Martell admitted to this. Martell said this more than once. He said, we had it all planned out. Imagine having a plan for your life and you're doing everything you can to execute it. Got the babies popping out left and right. Martell wanted more babies, so Melody gave him more babies. Had the businesses popping. You look good. You're on point. You're doing your job. You're doing your part. Then you find out the person who you trusted the most in the world is your enemy. You cannot get over that in a year. And to Melody's disservice, what she has done is that she's projected an image of wholeness and peace that is not entirely true. Yes, she's not in a bad space the same way she was when she was married to Martell and right after the divorce. But I honestly believe that Melody has extensive scar tissue around her heart pertaining to this situation with Martell. She is very damaged. Not to say she can't heal, yes, but it's not going to take 2 years. No, it's going to take a long time to heal from this type of narcissistic abuse. I have seen it, I've experienced it, and I've observed it in other people, okay? It takes a long time to trust people again. So, unfortunately, Melody's friends are not privy to what she's going through because Melody keeps her feelings to herself. Melody has Mars in the 12th house. This is passive aggressiveness. She's not going to tell you directly what's going on with her. She'll just pull back and withdraw from you energetically to process things, to heal, whatever the case may be, to even to show anger or displeasure with somebody. That's Mars in the 12th house too, from her sun, not her ascendant. But anyway, so with this situation, I think that Stormy has the right to ask what's going on. Why did you flip and change like this? And Melody, if she wants to maintain her friendship, she has to be transparent about, well, she should be, not has to, because people do what they want to do, about the fact that she doesn't trust anybody right now. It's hard for her to trust people. That's a very isolating feeling. So no matter how many likes and subscribes and follows and supporters she has on her platform, her followers are not intimate with her. They're not in her intimate life, in her business. So she can deal with them and interface with them easier than people in her intimate space who have the power and the ability to really hurt her badly. Melody's supporters on social media, they can't hurt her the way that her friends and her ex-husband have hurt her. They can't do that. So she's probably more comfortable on social media in that space, right? Dealing with people at a distance than having close, intimate, personal ties right now because of that trauma. I'm telling you, it is very, very hard to trust people after you have been married to a narcissist like Martell. Because even after Melody reconciled with Martell, he kept breaking her trust over and over and over again. To make matters worse, after he did her dirty, he tried to go on a smear campaign to destroy her reputation and make her look like a bad mother and a hoe after he fucked her over for years. So this is one of the reasons why Melody can't fuck with Martell like that, because he's the reason why she can't trust anyone else. He's a constant reminder of the horrific trauma and the nightmare that she's been through. So imagine you trusting somebody with your whole life, and then this person allows their mistress to disrespect you, and then they get that woman pregnant, and then they go around town talking about how horrible you are, calling you a bad mother, calling you a wife, and calling you a whore, all the while you've given them ample opportunity to get it together. You've forgiven them so many times. You've hid their secrets. You've hid their flaws. You've protected them, and they've used that to hurt you. Melody cannot trust right now. She's not comfortable trusting people. And unfortunately, I think some of her friendships will suffer because of this. And I said this last year. I said that the reason why Melody fell out with Tisha and them is because of Martell. Melody can't trust anyone now. She can't. She has to go through some therapy to heal that and to be able to trust again. But imagine, I keep saying this, like, unless you have been through that experience, and you have seen people go through that experience of like loving someone unconditionally, accepting their abuse, their flaws, giving them whatever they wanted, right? I make you look good. We're working together with a power couple. I gave you 4 babies. I keep forgiving you for your mistakes. and then you do me this dirty to have a baby by somebody who hates me, then I let you go easy. I don't fuck with you, don't ask for alimony, don't ask for child support, I do nothing to you. And you still are torturing me and antagonizing me and blaming me for everything while your mistress is pregnant with your child. So I honestly hope that Stormy and Melody can have a conversation, or Melody starts to be more transparent about what she's going through. I think that she wants to put on the front as if it's okay and it's all good and she survived and she's strong, and that's good and everything. That's great for her brand. But in reality, I honestly think that she's doing herself a disservice if she does not communicate that she still hasn't fully healed yet. And to really be present and vulnerable in that moment and transparent in that moment with her friends. Like, I know I've been different for the past couple years, but you guys have to understand what this man did to me, how he made me feel. And unfortunately, because of that, I have a hard time connecting with people now. I have a hard time feeling safe around people. I'm always looking for the other shoe to drop. I'm traumatized by this. And you're still friends with this person. I gotta see the man who betrayed me and tormented me for years around you guys. I gotta work with him. He has to co-parent our children. I'm doing my best, but I need more time to heal from this. Yes, money making Melody is doing her damn thing with the businesses, but she's going to continue to have this issue with her friendships and her relationships if she does not heal the trauma of this distrust that Martell has cultivated in her. Melody's entitled to feel this way. But she has to heal this for her sake, because it's very isolating. I'm telling you, it's isolating when you can't trust people. It hurts. It really hurts. And so I think if Melody shares her truth, her real, genuine, authentic truth, right? Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay. A lot of people want to see Melody fail, and Melody knows this. So she tries her hardest to look like she's always winning. So Melody, just like Martell, does not want people to see her sweat. They don't want to see her. She doesn't want them to see her struggling or suffering, because then they feel like they've won. And they're justified in the way that they've treated her. And so, especially Arionne. So Melody will always present success. She'll always try to present that. But that is an isolating, inauthentic experience, in a sense. Because if you can't trust people and your heart is closed, it's hard for you to love again. And we all need love in our lives. We all need love. I'm not saying sex and relationships. I mean true, honest, genuine love from someone. And when you shut people out, you close yourself off from those types of experiences. I don't think that Melody does this to her family, her mother, her children, because they can't betray her. I don't think they would ever betray her the way that Martell and her friends has. But I'm just saying that I do understand if Melody and Stormy were talking all the time before the show started, and then the energy flipped and switched, I would want to know what happened too. And the DM situation, I'm not DMing my friend, right? I think Stormy is a Leo. She's not chasing anybody for anything. Either you want to be my friend or you don't. If Melody wants to preserve and maintain the relationship that she values, she has to be more transparent and authentic and honest about what she's really going through, and not just pull back and expect you to figure things out. That's also Mars in the 12th house, right? You're supposed to know how that makes me feel already. I shouldn't have to say anything. But meanwhile, if you're putting on a front, right, if you want to appear a certain way, people won't know how you truly feel, because you're putting on a mask, and the mask is success and moving on, and I'm doing better now. I don't need Martell no more. And all of those things are true. Melody is much happier and much better off without Martell. I know she feels relief and I know she feels better. But there is still some scar tissue. There's still some trauma and scar tissue there. And she has her moments where she tries to be, where she talks about her struggles with like feeling alone or isolated and things of that nature. Like Martell would say. Where she feels that way. And then what happens? The piranhas, they pounce because they want to see her weak. They want to see her struggling because now they feel like they've won, right? And so now there's a battle with the ego. Do you really care about Marceau and Tisha and Arionne gloating about your struggles? Or would you rather live in an authentic experience where you share your struggles, which are many because you're dealing with a narcissist, but at the same time, yes, I'm depressed. Yes, I got fucked up. Yes, I have issues with this, that, and the third, but I'm still that bitch. I'm still that bitch. I'm still making moves. I'm still getting shit done. I'm still handling business. And you guys can do the same thing. I honestly think that Melody tried to heal the wound too quickly. She wanted to just rush ahead and be done with everything and just move forward with her life, which I don't blame her for, because sitting in that space is very, very, very painful. It's toxic even if you sit there too long. But I think that she sutured her womb of this trauma without putting on any antibiotics. So now the womb is festering. It's closed up, but it still hurts. It hasn't healed properly. Based on the way that she's isolating herself from the people around her, I think that she has not healed fully. And again, that's understandable. Sometimes it takes decades to heal from narcissistic abuse. It takes decades sometimes. And Melody was married to Martell for a long time. So I would not expect her to be 100% healed now. I wouldn't expect that of her at all. That would not be fair for me or her fans to expect Melody to have healed up and leveled up within 2 years of a divorce. No, it's going to take a while because, again, Melody's entire worldview was shattered. Her entire worldview was shattered. Her innocence was stolen from her. And she cannot trust easily again. I don't think she trusts anybody right now. I mean, her family, yeah, her brothers, her sister, her mom, her children, yeah, she can trust them. But friends, not so much. Because one of the painful lessons that Melody learned in that situation with Martell is that you can't control anybody. I don't think Melody was trying to control Martell per se, but she thought she had control of her life. And unfortunately, when you have the wrong people in your life like Martell, they make you lose control of your shit. Melody does not want to lose control of her life again. She does not. So she's very guarded about who she has around her. And again, that's unfortunate because she's going to isolate herself from her friends. And and Stormy seemed genuinely upset about what was going on. I don't know the extent of their relationship before the show started. I have no idea. So I can't speak to that. But the fact that Stormy was like, yo, what happened? Why are we not talking? I think something happened and Melody does not want to openly express it with the whole DM conversation. I'm not DMing my friend. That's an insult. So based off that conversation and that interaction, Melody may be going through something that she does not want to discuss with anybody, right? She wants them to figure it out, in a sense. So Stormy may be like, well, what happened? And this is what happens when you have Mars in the 12th house. When you pull your energy back from people, they gravitate towards you. And you're like, so what did I do wrong? How can I fix this? And that's when you have the confidence to open up and say, this is the problem that I have with this situation. But because Melody is not direct all the time, she's not always direct. She's very passive aggressive too. She hides her feelings from herself even. She has a tendency to hide her true feelings from herself as well. How do I know this? Because I have Mars in the 12th house too. I hide my feelings to myself also. I allow people to violate and disrespect me and not say shit about it until I have to, right? And so, yeah, she likes to spend time alone because she can control that space. She has power over her domain when she's by herself. When you're engaged with people who you don't really know like that, who are sometimey, or who are friends with people you don't like, you will have a hard time trusting them. It just is what it is. Especially, again, if you have dealt with narcissistic abuse and betrayal and trauma to the extent that Melody has. So to Melody's supporters and her fans, she looks awesome. Melody's beautiful, successful, thriving professionally and financially. But emotionally, there's something else going on. And why wouldn't there be? She was married to Martell. Why wouldn't there be? People who think that Melody is supposed to be healed and whole by now do not appreciate how destabilizing and destructive narcissistic abuse is. They don't appreciate it. They think that, oh, it's been a couple of years. She's smiling now. She looks good. Martell moved on, whatever the case may be. Melody's moved on. Nope. When you're dealing with narc abuse, your mind gets fucked up because you end up questioning everything. You question everything. I'm going to be honest. Stormy looked genuinely hurt when she confronted Melody. Like, what happened? Her face did not hide her emotions well. She seemed upset and she felt slighted. And Melody felt uncomfortable having to address that. That's what the whole, DM thing, like, I'm not DMing. Like, how is it my responsibility to make sure that I have your number, you change your number, right? So something has gone on again that Melody doesn't want to address, and she does not trust Stormy for whatever reason. I don't think Stormy did anything at this point. Maybe Melody saw the messages that Stormy's mother put out on social media, so she pulled back. I have no idea. Again, this is why old people need to stay out of people's business and stop instigating mess. But I don't know the timeline. I have to know the timeline, like, because Stormy could be asking this question after Melody saw Stormy's mother talking shit about her. So Melody may have felt like Stormy was in on it too, and that could have triggered Melody, especially if she has a hard time trusting people now because of what Martell put her through. So I really hope that Melody at some point will feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable and transparent about the fact that she does not trust people. She doesn't trust people, and she feels like she has to close herself off to protect herself from everybody. That's not family. That's not her mom and her children, her brother. She has to do that. And it doesn't mean that she's an asshole or bitch, right? That doesn't mean that. It's just a testament to how traumatized she is and how much damage Martell inflicted on her. Like, for you to take your schoolball head around me and ask you to pray for me after you destroyed my trust and my faith in humanity and people in general. How dare you? Like, the fact that he doesn't understand that is exactly why Melody can't fuck with him like that. I can't fuck with you like that because you don't know how much you really, really hurt me. And if you knew how much you really, really hurt me, you would not think that you deserved another chance. You wouldn't think that way. You would feel grateful just for the opportunity to see your kids. Forget having another chance. You're not entitled to that after what you did to me. That's what Melody needs to say at some point, right? Melody said in season 1, you hurt me to my core. Melody has a strong, solid core. And some people misinterpret or misunderstand that core as not giving a damn. And that's not true. Melody is just scared to death. In my opinion, this is my opinion, she's scared to death of being betrayed again. She's scared of being betrayed again. And so now I will keep you at a distance. After filming is over, I don't want to get too close to anybody. Let me just decompress and pull back and not get too emotionally intermingled in these non-familial relationships. Melody would prefer to be with friends who keep it cool and keep it light and keep their distance. She does not want anybody close to her right now. At some point she'll heal and she'll get better, but not right now. She's still healing from Martell right now. So essentially the problem is that Melody does not look like what she's been through. So people don't understand that she's still struggling. And again, she puts on an image for the public because she wants people to see her as winning. And she is winning, technically, right, with the money and the social media status. But internally, there are still some challenges that she has to go through and get through. And so, in my opinion, the businesses are compensatory. I said this sometime last year or several months ago when I talked about how Martell and Melody did not want to get separated or divorced. I said that Melody is an excellent entrepreneur, a phenomenal businesswoman, but she may use her success to compensate for emotional connections that she's missing, right? That's what I presumed. I'm assuming that I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And there's nothing wrong with being successful as a woman at all. But again, when you see people's relationships collapsing around them, right? And they don't understand what's going on. What's the problem? Melody, in my opinion, does not trust the people around her. That's having an empathetic stance towards what she's going through rather than saying Melody ain't shit, she's fake, she's sometimey. No. Why is she keeping her friends and people around her at arm's length? Because she still has to heal from that trauma. But she's not going to say this because she wants to show people that she's winning, because a lot of people felt like Melody was wrong for divorcing Martell, the bald-headed cheater. She wants people to know she made the right choice. And if she expresses sadness or loneliness or trauma, it's like, oh, you should have stayed with your husband then. That bullshit. And she don't want to hear that. She don't want to hear that. She made the right choice. It's just that she has to now figure out how to learn how to trust people again. That's all. And that's going to take time. So hopefully she can mend her relationships with the people that she value by being more transparent and honest with them about the extent of the trauma that she's been through and what she's still working through. She's still working through this. It's only been 2 years since the divorce, and it's a lot. It's compounded trauma. Okay? It's a lot. So, yeah. Just because Melody has a falling out with the people around her doesn't mean that she's fake. It means that, like I said before, she's traumatized. And now I can't cultivate healthy, normal relationships that are intimate, because the people around me, I don't trust them for good reason, because they were in on the betrayal. And so now I can't differentiate between my enemies and my friends. I can't. So therefore, let me not do it at all. My friends are on social media. They don't have to come to my house. They don't have to see me every day. They don't have expectations of me. They're just here. Okay? And I'm cool with that. I give them what they want, and they give me what I want. That's it. It becomes transactional when you have no trust. I'm going to talk about my experience in the workplace where I was bullied by coworkers, and that experience gave me so much trauma. It was really, really hard to trust people in the workplace again. Very difficult. But yeah, that's my stance on it. You guys may not agree. You guys may say, oh, you're being weird. You're being sometimey. Melody is fine. She's healed from Martell. Stormy needs to get over it. That's fine. You can think the way you want to think. But when I saw Stormy's face, she looked upset. Genuinely upset. Sometimes you can see people's emotions through their expressions. And so she was offended, and even like, yo, what happened with the number? I thought we were cool. What happened? Now, again, the other day I said that, Melody's idea of frequently may be different from Stormy's idea of frequently, right? But it seems like Melody and Stormy had a more frequent, a more communal, closer relationship before the show started. Something happened to change that. So that should be addressed if you want to maintain this relationship. If not, then don't. That's okay. I will see it as it is, and I'll keep it pushing. Right? But I think Stormy confronting Melody, to me, meant that she was really concerned about what happened, and she didn't know. And she wanted to put it all out there and rectify it. But if you're not honest about what's going on, then, you can't rectify situations. Right? So, again, I don't know if Melody felt some kind of way because Stormy was hanging out with Destiny at some point. She was hanging out with the Scotts. Like, I don't know if Melody was like, okay, I can't trust her either. Now, let's go on the warpath. Scorched earth. I'm not cool with anybody. None of you guys are really my friends. So that I don't know what happened. What was the catalyst for Melody changing her number and then say, oh, you can DM me like I'm one of your fans? No, we're not doing that. If we're really friends, I'm not chasing after you. For what? So yeah, for the last time, if Melody wants to maintain her friendships with these people, or some people who she values, not the ones who she doesn't value, the trolls and the haters, not those. The ones who she values, the one who she respects, then she's going to have to be more transparent about her feelings about certain things and be honest about it. And be open for discourse and dialogue, and not say, well, you should know how I feel, and then treat me like I intended to hurt you. I think honestly that Melody is transferring a lot of her frustration about Martell and what he's done to her onto other people. I'm going to be honest. And again, I have a lot of sympathy for her and empathy for her because she's gone through hell. When people go through hell, they transfer things. They project sometimes. And so I think one of the solutions is for her to be more open with what she's going through. Like really, really going through emotionally. Not just the business aspect. Not just the success and the glow up and the prettiness and the clothes and the wigs and the hair. It looks great. But there's something else going on that her fans may want to be privy to, because some of them may turn on her and say, oh, she's sometimey and she's this, that, and the third. Trust me, I see it happening, because a lot of Melody's followers did not like her in the beginning. I was there. So a lot of people who are so-called fans are very fickle. And if you do something they don't understand, they will jump down your throat and basically say, see, this is why I never liked Melody in the first place. I see it. I hear it. Trust. Okay? Oh, one more thing before I forget. So Martell told his mother, Miss Marlene, that he's going to therapy. And Miss Marlene said, for what? What do you mean for what, Miss Marlene? You don't see the way your son treated his ex-wife? That's not a problem for you, Miss Marlene? I wonder if Miss Marlene is afraid that Martell will discuss some of the things that he experienced as a child, which would expose her poor mothering of him. I'm not saying Miss Marlene didn't love Martell. I'm not saying that she doesn't support him blindly. I'm saying that Martell somewhere learned how to not be held accountable for his actions. Or he learned to blame people for the shit that he was doing. That's why he has to go to therapy, Miss Marlene. As a matter of fact, you should be going to therapy too, to be honest. But a lot of old school people don't want to go to therapy because they don't want to be called out for their shit, basically. They don't want to be called out for poor parenting, neglect, abuse, manipulation, emotional incest. They don't want to be called out for that. So Miss Marlene will be like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with you, son. What you mean there's nothing wrong with him? He destroyed he sabotaged his whole life. He sabotaged a perfect marriage on paper. Beautiful wife, kids, businesses, everything he ever wanted, and he sabotaged that. Of course he needs therapy. Why would he sabotage that? Why is he so insecure? Why does he have public speaking issues? Why does he self-sabotage himself? Why does he have an issue committing to one woman? Why is he so emotionally abusive and needy? Why? That's what therapy is for, mommy. Since you don't want to ask those questions and you want to sweep everything under the rug because it's convenient for you, that doesn't mean that that's what's in the best interest of Martell. So Martell does need to go to therapy for himself. But Miss Marlene trying to discourage him from doing that or questioning why, to me, is part of the problem. This is why he needs it in the first place. Okay? Alright guys, I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to reading your feedback. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to order a personal tarot reading from me or astrology reading from me or consultation, you can go to my website. The link is in the description box. Again, I look forward to reading your feedback. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon.